Hello and welcome back to this video. We continue from where we stopped in multiplication in modular arithmetic. So in this video we want to look at division in modular arithmetic. There's no way we're going to talk about division in modular arithmetic that will not talk about multiplication in modular arithmetic, because since division is the inverse of multiplication, so we can use multiplication table to solve division problems. So let's say for instance we have this. So what we're going to do here is that, so 2 divided by 3 in mod 5, what will be our answer? So 2 divided, that's 2 divided by 3. So let our answer be what? X in what? In mod what? In mod 5. So in this case, we can solve this one. Let's find the multiplication. That would be what? 3x equals what? 2. Now, the question now is that everything is in mod 5. So we are looking for a number that we are going to multiply by 3 that will give us 2 in mod 5. We want to find the value of x. So what number are we going to multiply by 3 in mod 5 that will give us what? 2. So let's go to this multiplication table. So what number are we going to multiply by 3? So we look at the, if now you look at this or you look at this, anyone you're going to get the same answer. If you look at 3, so 3 multiplied by us will give us 2. So we now check under this 3. Where do we have 2? We have 2 here, right? So which means we will multiply 3 by 4 to guess what? These 2. So which means x equals what? 4 in mod that means that in mod 4 in mod 5. So let's go. Therefore, we can conclude that 2 divided by 3 equals what? 4 in mod what? Mod 5. And if we look at this column 2, so we just trace where we have 2. You can see we have 2 here, and that's under what? 4. See the same thing. So that is what we want to learn in this video. We want to see how we can divide. But not every time we need to draw a table, because we have some figures that will be bigger than all this one, and the mode will also be bigger than this. Are we going to be drawing table every time? No. So we have to learn how to do that. So, and that will lead us to a subtopic which is called inverse, multiplicative what? Inverse, because I said that division is the inverse of multiplication. So we need to learn what is the multiplicative what? Inverse of a number. So when we talk about multiplicative inverse of a number, we are saying that what number are we going to multiply by another number that will make it to be what? 1. So if you have 7 now, so multiplicative inverse of 7 is a number that we multiply by what? This 7, and we're going to get what? Answer that will be what? 1. So if you have this over 1 and this 1 over 7, so this 7 can 7, so this what? 1. So if you have 1 over 5, the multiplicative inverse of 1 over 5 is what? 5. Which is this will give us what? 1, because when you multiply multiplicative inverse of a number by that number, you're going to get what? 1. So that's what we want to learn next. So let's look at that now. Alright, so multiplicative inverse, as I've explained earlier on. So multiplicative inverse of a number is the number we multiply by it that gives what? 0. So for example, the multiplicative inverse of 7 here is 1 over 7, because if you multiply 7 by 1 over 7, is going to give us 1. So which means that 1 over 7 is the multiplicative inverse of what? 7. You just need to just reverse whatever you have with you. Then the same thing with this one. Another one is if you have minus 3, the multiplicative inverse of minus 3 is what? Is 1 over what? Minus 3. Because when you multiply minus 3 by 1 over minus 3, you're going to get what? 1. And the same thing with this one, 1 over 5 multiplied by 5 will give us what? 1 as well. So that is that multiplicative inverse. So we can apply this method in finding division. You know, we have not done division of in modular arithmetic. So we are looking at the concept that will help us to be able to solve it very well. So we are going to we can adopt this multiplicative inverse to solve the problem of what? Modular arithmetic. Let's say, for instance, we have these examples. So find examples. I'm going to give you some about 2 methods. Example: find the inverse. Find the inverse of the following. So the first one we have here, 5 mode 7, right? And then the second one, let's say 3 mode what? Mode 6. We want to find the inverse of this question. So let's look at it. So let's look at the solution here. So the inverse of 5, just like we have it. So the inverse of 5 in mode 7 is a number that we're going to multiply by 5 in mode 7 that will give us what? 1. Because the concept of multiplication inverse is that the product, when you have the product, it must give you what? 1. So in that case, what number are we going to multiply by 5 that will give us 1 in mode 7? So we need to test. The first one, let's say 5 times 1 will give us 5 in mode 7. So in mode 7, so this, it can't be the answer. 1 cannot be the answer. That's what it means. So let's say 5 times 2, which is 10. That is 3 mode what? Mode 7, right? This won't work, right? Let's put another one. 5 times 3, which gives what? 15. 15 in mode 7 will give us 1, because that is 15 divided by 7 gives 2, remainder 1. So remainder 1, that is what? Mode 7. So which means this works. So which means the inverse of inverse of 5 in mode 7 is the number we multiply by 5 that gives us 1 is what? Is 3. I hope this is clear. Good. So let's look at the second example and see how we can get that. So we have number 2, 3 mode 6, right? So here, let's the same way, 3 multiplied by 1, that gives 3 mode 6, right? So this one is not the inverse because it's not giving us this. Then 3 times 2, that gives what? 0, because this will be 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, means that's 0, mode 6. Mode 6, right? So 3 divided by 3, multiplied by 3, will give us what? 3 mode 6. This is not this one, the same thing. Then 3 divided by 4 will give us 0, mode what? Mode 6. You can see 3030. You see, let's try the next one. It's going to be 3030. So 3 multiplied by 5, that is 15. 6 divided by 15, that is 2, remainder 3. You can see mode 6. This one will not work again. Then 3 multiplied by 6, that is 18. Divided by that gives us 0 again. Mode what? Mode 6. So which means these 3 mode 6 has no inverse, has no solution, no inverse. So which means under this topic that sometimes you don't get answer. So you just say no solution or no answer, no inverse. So in this case, you can still cannot get 1. If you continue to multiply it by all numbers till eternity, you will not get 1. It will not give you remainder 1. So that means I will still talk about there are some ways in which you know this one will give you multiple answers. Like this one we have 3, we can have multiple answers, and we cannot have, sometimes we will not get any answer. That is, there won't be solution. So in that, we get to that so in this video. So just make sure you watch this video to the end so that you not miss out. Now that is that on this. That is inverse. Multiplicative for inverse. So they can ask you to find the inverse of number in particular mode. This is how you're going to do it. Now let's now go into multiplication, division in details now, and applying what the concept, what we just learned. Now we're going to apply. All right. So we have these examples on division. So let's look at how we go about it. So simplify the following: 3 divided by 4 mode 5. And the first one is that. So we're going to make use of 2 methods here. Mix of 2 methods. So let's look at the method 1. So we have 3 divided by 4, right? So let it be what? X. That is 3 divided by 4. So that is our answer. We want the answer to be what? X. Let it be X. Now you multiply. So what we're going to do now is this. So 3 divided by 4 equals what? X. So when we cross multiply, we're going to have 4x equals what? 3 in what? In mode what? 5. So the next is that we want to, this coefficient of x here, so we want a number that we're going to multiply by this 4 that will give us what? 1. That is, we want to find the inverse of what? 4. So that inverse of 4 will now be multiplied by both sides. We multiply by what? Both sides to get our final answer. How are we going to do that? It's very simple. So what we're going to do is, so multiply both sides by the inverse of the coefficient of x. So what's the coefficient of x here is 4. So we want to find the inverse of 4. So as we have learned before now, so we want to get the inverse of 4, that is 4 multiplied by 1. That gives what? 4 in mode 5. So this one is not giving us 1. So we not make use of this. Then 4 multiplied by 2. That gives us 3 in what? In mode 5. So this one will not work again. Then this one, 4 times 3 will give us, that is 12. That is 2 mode what? Mode 5. So this will not work again. Then 4 times 4. So that gives what? 1. But 4 times 4 gives 16. 16 divided by 5 gives 3 remainder 1. Mode what? Mode what? Mode 5. So which means the inverse of this 4 is what? Is 4. So we are now going to multiply both sides by what? By the inverse. So in that case, this one will then become what? X. Because we have multiplied it. 4 times 4 will give us what? 1. So 1 times x is what? X. So that means 3 multiplied by what? 4. So we can multiply both sides by the inverse of the coefficient of x in mode what? In mode 5. Right? In mode 5. So that means, I want you to understand clearly. So that means 4 times 4 will be equal to 3 times 4. Everything what? In mode what? 5. So 4 times 4 in mode 5 will give us what? 1. So 1 times x gives us x. That's what we're saying. So will be equals to 12 mode what? Mode 5. So we now simplify this 12. So which will x will then be equals to what? 2 mode what? Mode 5. So answer is what? Is 2. So that means x is what? Mode 2 mode. So that therefore we can say that 3 divided by 4, right, in mode 5 is equal to 2 mode what? Mode 5. I hope this is very clear. So that is that on the first question there. Is that clear? So we move to the second question. The second question we have there. So let me clean this side so that we'll have enough space to do it. So okay, before the second question, we're going to look at method 2. So let's look at method 2. So that's the first method. So method 2, you are seeing in question 1, method 2. So that's the first method, method 2, right? All right, for method 2, this is how we're going to do it. For method 2, we have 3 divided by 4. Let it be what? X in mode what? In mode 5. So we do the same thing. So this will give us 3 over 4 equals to x. Therefore, 4x equals to what? 3 in what? In mode what? 5. So what we're going to do is that we are going to, the mode is, we are working in mode 5. So we look for the multiples of 5 that we can add, to both sides, that when we perform the operation, we're going to get a whole number. We're going to get an integer. So we're going to say add multiple add the multiple, let me put that, the multiple of 5 that make makes x be an integer. Integer means whole number to both sides. So the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, and so on and so forth. So let's test for the first one. So if we had, this is 3 here, this is 4 here. So we have 4x plus 5. So we have 4x plus 5 equals to 3 plus 5. This one will give us 1. Hope you know. So plus 5. So this will then be equals to, let's add this to both sides. So let's use 5 first if it's going to work out. So that will be 4x plus 5 equals to 3 plus 5, everything in what? In mod 5. So this one in mod 5 gives 0. So 5 divided by 5, that gives 0. So then we have 4x left here equals to what? 8. Mod what? Mod what? 5. So we can then divide both sides by 4 by 4. So 4 cancel 4. Then x equals to what? 2 mod what? Mod 5. Which is still the same thing with the answer we got the other time. Now, if we add the next multiple of 5, which is 10 to it, let's test for that one and see what we're going to get. So 4x plus 10 equals to 3, because the time you are adding, the multiple of 5 you are adding returns to 0. So plus 10, right? This is 0, that will be 4x equals to what? 13. So when you divide both sides, you will not get an integer. So that is the focus. We want to get a whole number. So in that case, 5 goes. So we multiply by what? 5. Both sides, add both sides to 5 to both sides. So that is second method. I hope this is very clear. So let's now look at the second example that we have there. So which is example 2. We have 4 divided by 3, just like the opposite of this one in mod what? In mod what? 5. Let's see what we're going to get. So here, so what we're going to, let's use the first method and see what we're going to have. Method 1. So method 1. So let's see how we're going to do this. That will be 4 divided by 3. Let it be equals to x. So that means 4 divided by 3 equals to x. That is 3x equals what? 4 in what? In mod 5. So we look for the inverse of 3. That will give us what? 1. So multiply both sides by the inverse of 3. Multiply both sides by the inverse of 3. So we need to get the inverse of 3. Let's see, 3 times 1 will give us 3 mod 5. So this will not give us 1, right? So this will not work. 3 times 2, that is 6. 6 divided by 5, that is what? 1 mod what? Mod 5. That this is correct, right? So we can make use of this one. So we make use of this. So this works. Is going to be what? We are going to multiply both sides by the inverse of what? 3. So the inverse of 3 here is going to be what? 2. Because this gives us 1. So we now come back to this. So this means x will then be equal to 4 times 2 in what? In mod 5. I hope this is clear. So let me explain, let me clarify this point. So after looking for the inverse of 3, which is 2, which means when you multiply it both sides, then multiply both sides. So which means if you multiply this size, it will give us what? 1. So that's why this one is 1. We have multiplied. Okay, let me do it so that it will not be somehow. So we have 3x, right, equals to 4. So what we're going to do now is going to be 3 times 3x equals to 4. So 3 times 2 here gives us what? 1. 1 times x is x equals to 4 times 2, which is what? 8. Mode what? Mode 5. So we simplify this, right? So we simplify this. Yes. So when we simplify this, we're going to have what? 3 mode what? Mode 5. Because that is 8 divided by what? 5 equals to 1. Remainder what? Remainder 3. So x equals to what? 3 mode what? Mode 5. That means that 4 divided by 3 equals to what? 3 mode what? Mode 5. So let's see the second method, if we can apply that to method 2. Method 2. So method 2, we have, so starting from here, 3x plus equals to 4. So we add to both sides a number that will give us, that will make us to have what's it called, an integer. So what are the numbers we're going to? So multiples of 5 that we can do will be what? So let's say multiples of 5. So that will be plus 5 to plus 5. So that's plus 5. So add multiple of 5 to both sides. Okay, multiple of 5, that makes x be an integer to both sides. To both sides. So that means we're going to have this. So that we're going to have. So let's, for the first multiple of 5 is 5. So 3x plus 5 equals to 4 plus 5, right? In everything in mode 5. Let's check if this one will work out, right? So this will give us so this we turn towards 0 plus 5. So 5 in 5 is 0. So we have going to have 3x equals to what? 9. So divide both sides by 3 by 3. 3 cancel 3. Then x is equal to what? 3. Which is the same thing with what we got here. So that means 4 divided by 3 equals to 3 in what? In mode 5. So we just need one more thing to do here. So that is that on division. So but that we have some exception that we want to look at now. All right, so this is very important. We take note of this. So it is possible to have more than one solution or no solution at all when the modulus is not a prime number. So if you look at the ones we've been doing, for most of them are prime number. We talk about mode 5, mode 3, mode 2, and so on and so forth. So but if we now have a non-prime number, just such as 6, such as 8, so it's possible you have more than one solution or you have no solution. So let's look at this example. So we have solve this. So but what we're going to do is, when you have non-prime number like this, so you use the first method, that is the placement method. So what we're going to do, we have 3 divided by 3, that's the first one, right? Let it be x. So that means 3x equals what? 3. So we look for the inverse of 3 that will multiply by both sides, that will give us what? 1. So in that case, we have mode 6. Since 3x equals to 3 mode 6. So what we want to do, we want to test. We're going to test using replacement set of these numbers. So what we're going to do is this. We want to substitute the value of x with this value and see if we are going to get the 3 here. So let's have it in mode 6. So that means 3 times, this is 3 times x, 3 times 0. When you have 3 times 0 here, this gives us 0, mode what? Mode 6. And this 0 is not the same thing as this one. This one will not work. It's not correct. So this, we take the next digit, which is 3, which is 1. 3 times 1 gives us what? 3, mode what? Mode 6. So which is correct? Which is, you can see 3, 3. Then we replace x again with 2 and see if we are going to correct. So 3 times 2, that gives what? 6. 3 times 2 gives what? 6. 6 in mode 6 is what? 0. So mode what? Mode 6. This is not correct. Same thing. Then 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. In mode 6 is going what? 3. Mode what? Mode 6. This is also correct. So we move to the next one, which is 4. So 3 times 4, right? That which is 12. That is 0. Mode what? Mode 6. This is not correct at the same time. Then 3 times 5, which is 15. Remain than 3. That is what? Mode what? Mode 6. This is also correct. So we can see that the replacement we have is 1. We have 3 and then what? 5. So which means that the value of x here, that means 3 divided by what? 3 in mode what is what? The answer would be what? 1, 3, 5. Mode what? Mode 6. I hope this is very clear. So this is the answer. So you can see this one has 3 solutions. I've explained it because it's in mode 6. So let's check the second one, which is that's mode 8 here. So let's check that one and see what we're going to get. So we have 3 question 2, 3 divided by 6, mode 8. So this would then be 3 divided by 6 equals to x. That will be 6x equals to 3. So in mode 8. So what we test for the same way we test this one. It's going to be 6 times 0. So this is 0 mode what? Mode 8. It's not same like this 3 mode 8, right? So this will be out. Then 6 times 1 gives what? 6. So mode 8. This is also not correct. So it's out. 6 times 2, that gives us 12. 12 in mode 8, that is 4. Mode what? Mode 8. This is also out. So 6 times 3, that is 18. 18, that is 2. Mode what? Mode 8. This is also out. So you continue. 6 times 4, that is 20. 20 divided by 8, that is 4. Mode what? Mode what? Mode 8. Then 6 times 5, which is what? 30. So 30 here, that is 4 as well. That's 20, 30, 24. That is 6. Mode what? Mode 8. So you notice that all of them, so which means this has no solution. Has no solution. I hope this is very clear. So this is where we're going to end this video. We're going to stop here. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and make sure you turn on your notification bell so that anytime I release videos like this, you'll be able to be the first one to have access to it. And don't forget to give us a thumb up if you find this video useful and helpful, and share the video with your loved one. So we'll meet in our next video. Bye for now.